Hello everyone, my name is Jake.
And I'm Beth, and this is our tiny home on wheels, Kiwi.
And we found this van as a works van off of eBay, and we have converted it into our beautiful tiny home together during lockdown. And if anyone wants to know, it is a Vauxhall Movano medium wheelbase from 2012.
This content is sponsored by Outdoorsy. Through Outdoorsy, you can rent your camper van out to make extra cash, and you can rent a van to try van life before you commit.
Action. So welcome to the inside of our van. First, I'm going to show you around the kitchen. So this is our kitchen. Let's start with this side. So these are actually the only thing within our van that we didn't make by hand. We got them from IKEA and painted them just because these little spice pots fitted so perfectly inside. How could we say no? But yeah, this one I made myself, which keeps all our plants, notebooks and pens, and I just love this whole area. Really useful, saves a lot of space in the cupboards and stuff too. Next up here we have these. We weren't actually planning on making them from tongue and groove, but my uncle actually had some spare wood in his garage, so we made them using that, and we love how they look. This mandala I drew by hand with a paint pen. Really proud of it. So in these ones we have like bulk food, teas, vitamin tablets, and in this one we have most of our breakfast stuff. So yeah, quite simple up there. Next off we have these cupboards down here, and as you may notice there are no handles. We just kind of use the lock to open it, which is really useful because it kind of doubles up to keep it closed when we're driving, and the lock part is big enough to actually open it with. So as you can see in here, we've kept it so simple. We've just got these two platforms here, so we put all of our tin stuff at the back, and kettle and flask and stuff. All of our bowls and plates and mugs are in here. We only have two of each because there's only two of us. If somebody wants to come for food, they can bring their own plate. And we have all of our peanut butters and stuff in there, which is our main snack. And yeah, just food again, our bin, and a lot of heavy stuff and pasta and cleaning stuff in there. And this here is our camping stove. We chose to go for a camping stove. We thought it would just be easier. So that's why you've probably noticed we don't have a stovetop up here. So that's that. And again with this, we weren't planning to use this tongue and groove wood, but we're so glad we did. It looks really nice. We get a lot of questions about our splashboard. We were going to use tiles, and I had seen them in a lot of van conversion. I wanted something completely different, and it took me so long to decide. But this is actually just PVC material, which people use typically for tablecloths. So we picked this up really cheap and stuck it on, and it works perfectly. I love it. And the best thing is, if we ever wanted to change like the look of our van, we could just get a different PVC material and put it on top and change up the van. I love it. So next I'm going to take you to the fridge and show you this. So this is our fridge here. It was a slightly cheaper one. We kind of do wish we'd gone for a bit more of an expensive one, because the freezer door kind of broke off, so now the freezer doesn't really work. The temperature fluctuates on a hourly basis, but there is a lot of space, so yeah, it works. It does its job. Next in this cupboard we have all of our cutlery in here, which I just made from an old drawer that my grandpa gave me and just shortened it at the back. All our cutlery in there. And as you notice, we didn't put it on runners. So we've gone for such a simple build that it's just on a piece of wood. It does squeak when it comes out, but it was easy. And just like everyone has in their house, we have a box of random stuff. Just completely random stuff. And that's it. That is our little kitchen area.
And on the other side of the kitchen is the sink and workspace kind of slash cooking area. If we don't want to use that one, if we're somewhere nice and we want to look at the view, we can just lift this up and put our camping gas stove here, which is one of the reasons why we didn't get the inbuilt one as well, like Beth was saying, because we wanted the flexibility to be able to have it here or there or outside if the weather was good enough. And we love that freedom to just cook with the nice view if we have to. Also it means the steam can go out there and we don't always have to have the fan extracting it. So what do we have here? We have our sink, which we made by getting some timber board, furniture board I think it's called, and Beth so beautifully stained and varnished it And then, well, before that, we made it so that this cutout part for the sink was able to be removed, so that if we wanted more worktop space, we could easily just put it back, have the space, and then take it away when we needed it. And that just goes into this door here for a little safekeeping when we're somewhere, when we stop somewhere. And we went for the biggest sink we possibly could find because we knew that we wanted a big sink. Basically, a lot of vans have quite small sinks, and we always thought it must be so uncomfortable just to have that one plate and just scrub and hit the sides. And it's just a stainless steel one. It was quite cheap actually, but we just got a little bowl to protect it. And that's pretty much that. We added this curtain as, not curtain, fly net type, well, it's not a fly net, but we added this net as a fly net, and that works quite well. We just take a little peg and we just peg it here, and that's the job for us, what we needed to do. And Beth obviously made it look pretty with these, what do you call it, macrame I think it's called. And underneath the sink, so what's actually powering the sink I guess, is our feet, because we've got a foot pump. So we just push it and it comes out like so, and dribbles a little bit, there we go. And basically what we've got is two 20-litre jerry cans underneath there, which is why I showed you earlier the several 6 to 8 litre bottles underneath the passenger seat, because we quickly realised that wasn't enough to have for our freshwater and grey waste. And at the very back of our van we have our curtain, which Beth spent hours searching for because we don't really know how to size curtain, but eventually we got this one, and it works as a blackout curtain, so when we have it drawn, where the light doesn't spill out into the front, and we can kind of be a bit more private and stealthy. And it matches the interior of the cab as well, which is quite a good point. So again, it kind of just makes it look like a van, which is positives and minus, I guess, but we love it. Also, the space above here is really quite tiny, so we couldn't utilise it that much, and we just put books and stuff in there, something, all small things. This is our roof vent extractor fan, and it's similarly to the fridge, something that we wish we would have spent a bit more money on, because there's only 2 settings, so, well, in and out, but it's only 1 speed, so it's quite loud. And it's not really the nicest thing to have going on the whole time. But that's that. And also you might notice that I am standing upright, and for scale size I am 6'1", so this was pretty cool. It was like my one condition to living in the van. I wanted to be able to stand up. I didn't want to be having to hunch over and cook like that. And we're very glad we'd made it, very happy we'd made it like this. We used 12mm Celotex on the floor and 30 on the ceiling, and we've just managed to secure my standing up ability.
So welcome to the main living area, part of our van, the cosy section. So here is my chair. Underneath is the toilet. This little thing comes away. The toilet pulls right out, and it's a really good space for it. And we kind of would have had the chairs a bit lower usually, but to fit the toilet underneath we had to make them slightly higher than like the normal chair height, but that's alright because it gives us a nice lot of space for that, and it's nice and tucked out the way. So that's that. Next we have Jake's chair, and under there this lifts up and he fits all his belongings in there under the chair, so it's a really handy space. This box here is for my stuff, so basically everything that I have in the van is in this box. So my clothes, yeah, everything. And this drawer here is half Jake's and half mine, but I would argue that Jake has the bigger side of that. It's a bit messy, but you know, it's a good space to have. And then we have a little pull-out table here, so when we're eating dinner or working, Jake can sit there, I can sit there, and we can have our dinner on this table. It is a little bit low, but it's a good space, and if we want to play a game or something, then it's really, really nice to have this table. And we just use this copper pipe as a little handle. So now I'm going to show you around our bed area, which is obviously my favourite part of the whole van. So when we first started building our van, we didn't have a particular design in mind. Like, we just kind of went with it with the materials that we had, which I think is how we kept the cost so low. But yeah, we've got these plants up here which are really beautiful. They're not real, they won't eat into the wood, don't worry. As we go across, we've got some fairy lights that my mum made for us, and this, which was made for us by a friend. And a lot of things in our van are kind of upcycled and from small businesses, because we wanted to keep our whole van build as eco as possible. The cushion covers on our seats are made from a curtain, and this is made from the same material as that. And yeah, just nice little decorative things like these little macrame feathers I made, and somewhere to hang all of our goals and ideas. Now we get also some questions about our bed. It's an across bed, and now as our van's a Vauxhall Movano, it is a bit wider than a Sprinter or a Transit, which allows us to have the bed like this. Now I am 5'3". It's fine for me, but for Jake, he either has to kind of put his feet off the edge of the bed or sleep diagonally across this way, which is kind of annoying. And we might come up with an idea for maybe like a little platform where he can extend his sleeping position, because it must be a bit difficult for him. But we're really glad we've done the bed like this because it's given us so much living space. And yeah, that's it for this area. I just usually keep my guitar just thrown on the bed, and when we drive it stays put on the bed somehow, so it all works out.
So you might notice the theme of simplicity and minimalism, and we really kept that when we were doing the electrics as well. This is the only point where we can charge our devices, and this one does all of our 12 volt stuff, and it's just a switch panel which we bought. I did rewire it because I didn't like how it was done before, so now it's all individually wired. And this little thing here is our access point to reach the inverter when we need to charge the laptops or 240 things. We had to put that in there because we spent about 2 months where we were crawling underneath the bed by pulling out Beth's box and trying to plug it in that way, and we thought there's got to be a better solution, so we ended up just cutting a hole and making this little thing, and we just stuck some magnets, and that works as our access point for our electrics, which are all housed under the bed. So that's another reason why we chose a fixed bed, because we wanted to have the storage underneath and also a safe place for the electrics. And so if we come over to the back of the van, this is what you get greeted with. Looks quite nice actually. Beth put a lovely towel here to kind of neaten this area, because underneath it's quite bland, I guess. There's not really much going on. We just kind of left it as the bed structure and then filled around it. We've got some lovely net curtains again, and the decorations Beth mentioned about the bed kind of come out here as well, and I think it gives it a nice frame if you ever want to look out that way. But basically in here we left the entire side of this bed to the electrics, so it's all there, and we spent hours and hours working out how to do it. We did it ourselves and it's been working so far. And then we have a inflatable kayak which we've used 4 times, but we do love it when we can use it. Here is just our food truck for extra storage for food, because we don't have too much space in the middle. And speaking of less space in the middle, this is our truck which doubles up as a shower tray, and we just have one of them 12 volt showers which you can just charge using the 12 volt thing, and then we stick it on the outside of the van, and that's how we wash if we're, you know, somewhere in the wild like this. Obviously not in the cities, because that would be a bit revealing. And then finally in this part we have just our extendable ladder for if you want to clean the solar panels, and also some extra storage and some tools for if we ever need to do any maintenance on the van, which luckily we haven't needed to so far. And finally we've got some peanut butter extra storage because we love a lot of peanut butter. So there really isn't too much to tell you about the outside of the van. It's kind of comes as you would have bought it. One thing you might notice is that of course it's bright red, and I particularly like it, but Beth not so much. I think she'd rather have, you know, some lovely paintings on the side, which we might do at some point, but it's not as stealth as I would maybe quite like. It doesn't blend in as well as the white ones. Speaking of stealth, you might notice that the entire living area of the van doesn't have a single window apart from the skylight. And that's because we wanted to be more stealth if we were going to do urban camping, and also thinking from a security standpoint we thought it might be a bit safer because we've heard a lot of horror stories. Other things about the outside of the van is our solar panels. We have 2 270 watt panels, and that is our only source of power, so we don't have any split relay from the engine or shore power, grid power, and we haven't had any issues with that, except for one time there was like a week-long thick black cloud storm, and even then we only had to turn off the fridge just to try and save power. So this is probably the most boring part of the tour, because it's just our cab, which we've kept the same as a normal van. We haven't done anything with it. We just try to maximise the use of space. So underneath the passenger seats we've got a lot of water bottles because our water setup isn't the best. And one of the best things though that we have here, which Beth sorted out, is just putting a bungee cord, and then we can use it as our drying station for all the wet tea towels and our towels after a shower.
So the reason we decided to buy a van, basically I'd been travelling full-time for just over 6 years, and that is where I met Jake. We met in New Zealand. So kind of a whole time we've known each other, we've been travelling the world. And it was actually your idea. I'd lived in a van before, but Jake was really looking at a lot of YouTube videos about van life at the time.
Yeah, and we had a kind of an introduction to the whole van life thing, because when we were doing Australia and New Zealand, we toured it in the back of a station wagon, which you nicknamed the coffin because of how small it truly was.
So we're very used to being in a small space anyway, which we knew the transition into van life was going to be something easy for us.
And as avid travellers, loving to go around and see the world rather than the cities and things, we loved having that vehicle to take us to these places. So that's why we started doing road travelling, and then we came back to England to visit our family, and then lockdown happened and we thought, let's jump on the van life scene and
start building it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we did. And I think another thing that a lot of people need to think about when deciding to transition into van life is work. Obviously, we work online and we have done for a while. We're both, well, Jake mainly, we're both photographers, and we both are online teachers as well, so we knew that we would have no problem making money whilst travelling, which is a plus.
Yeah, we could fund our trip and continue to fund our trip, and that's the goal, is to just keep going and see as much as we possibly can for as long as we can. So because we did the whole travelling in a car thing, we were very used to being in small spaces together, and we knew that we could get on without too much trouble.
Too much, and only a little bit of trouble.
And too much, yeah, a little bit of trouble. But basically what I'm saying is we knew that we worked well as a team, and I think because we were met while travelling, we had that shared interest. And they always say, if you want to meet someone with shared interest, meet them doing that thing.
Exactly.
So
spending time in the van we really enjoy, because I think also it's good for couples to have like their own time, and me and Jake are quite lucky in that we both really enjoy having our own time, and we can be both in the van doing completely separate things, and that feels like we're having our own time, even though it's not a big space. Jake's doing something, I'm doing something else.
So something that we've learned while living in the van is that it really, really matters how much stuff you have, and what you actually need. Like, how much do you really truly need? We're quite lucky because we were doing the backpacking thing beforehand. We didn't have much anyway. We were living out of a backpack, so this is actually an upgrade to us with too much space.
When we moved in, I was like, oh my god, there's so much space. I can just fill it up.
Yeah.
But this is not something you should do. You shouldn't just fill any available space.
And we've seen a lot of vans, and they do just like, they put everything in there for what if moments. What if I need this? What if I need that? But really, you're just trying to whittle it down, because, as you notice, we haven't got the upper cabinets here because we wanted that open space. We wanted to maximise the openness of the area. So we've only got the one here, and we really have learnt
to live a more simple life.
Yeah, and to have less things.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're living in a van as well, you learn a lot, not just about, you learn a lot about yourself, like so many personal things, like, because everything you do in normal day-to-day life, like how much water you drink, doesn't really matter, you've just got a tap. How much water you need to wash your hair, how much water you need to shower, like how often you need to empty the toilet. Like, normal day-to-day life, you would not know those things about yourself. Like, if you ask the average person how much water they use when they have a shower, they probably wouldn't know. But as a van lifer, you need to know, like, because you need to fill up water, you need to know how long it's going to last you. So I think that's a big thing that we've learned. So let's talk about tips and van life hacks. So our biggest tip would probably be just to keep life as simple as you can. I think most people who are aspiring to live in a van or a tiny home are just trying to have a more simple life, and so keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. The least stuff you have, the least stuff you'll have to worry about. I really believe that. And also with the plan, Jake does most of our little trip planning, so he'll talk to you a bit about that.
Yeah, well, because we are travelling van lifers, not staying put van lifers.
Stationary
van lifers, yeah. We like to have somewhat of a plan, like a general direction as to where we're going, but I think it's best to not plan more than a few days ahead, because you might love somewhere and you want to stay there for longer, you might hate it and want to move away instantly, and things will happen that you can't plan for anyway, so you just kind of weigh it up and just go with the flow. That's what we do. Yeah,
so simple life and not too much planning is our main tips. So if you liked our little van tour and if you want to see more of us, we have a YouTube channel which is called Our Wild Horizons, where we post every Sunday. Jake is a really good photographer, videographer, and we just create cool travel videos, so please go check them out. And also I post every day on my Instagram, which is She Is The Lost Girl. And I don't just post the good parts of van life, I kind of post the dodgy bits too, so I hope you enjoy that if you come and check us out.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching. We hope you got some ideas, maybe some tips and tricks to implement into your own van lives, and hopefully we'll see you again.
I hope you enjoyed that video. If you hadn't noticed, we do sell an ebook for how to convert a van. It has over 190 pages of detailed instructions and diagrams, also 25 video tutorials which are specifically for the ebook buyer. Creating a van for many people is obviously a really intimidating project, but I really believe, and I've seen it time and time and time again, that with the right information, anyone can turn out with a pretty decent van conversion. So check the link in the description, subscribe to the channel if you are not already, and drop us a comment if you like this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.